This will be our last lesson looking at the context of wholes. In this lesson, you're going to focus on the setting for the novel. In the plot of wholes, it unfolds between multiple settings. These settings are distant in both space and time. We have number one, present-day Green Lake. Then we have historic Latvia, and finally, historic Green Lake. All three have significant implications. The setting can indicate much about characters in the story through the lifestyles of the characters, how they respond to recognizable and unfamiliar environments, and how they are feeling. A description of an environment familiar to the reader can even direct that reader to special memories of their own, drawing upon or redirecting to their own emotions, and then creating another link between the reader and the narrative that they're looking at. Throughout this activity, you are being introduced to the literary term setting, and for most, a setting means geographical area or location of a book or scene. But it is more than that. A setting can reveal a lot about the characters without the author having to resort to words or text to explain it. Their lifestyle, how they respond to familiar and recognizable, unfamiliar environments, and how they are feeling, all within the term of where they are, is really important. A description of environment that is familiar to the reader, as I said before, can play on the reader's emotions. Good literature doesn't simply throw characters to any old location just because they can. The author carefully considers how that setting will affect the readers, the characters, and the plot, so that the setting has particular meaning. It almost becomes a character in itself at times. I want you to think about the location and the time in wholes and how it impacts on the story. Was it symbolic or metaphorical in any way at any time? And we've done metaphors and similes, so you should have a bit of an idea about metaphors. If not, go back and have a look. Okay, I want you to develop your understanding about how geography played its part in the development of the story. Although Camp Green Lake is imaginary, it has some basis in Texas, and particularly a place in Calhoun County. I want you to explore the geography, demographics, and economy of Calhoun County, and in particular a place called Green Lake. There was a place called Green Lake. I want you first of all to define the literary term setting in your own words, and then look up on a map of Texas and identify Calhoun County, Green Lake, and the Gulf of Mexico. I've got a OneNote page, but I've also got it on the next slide. Then I want you to do a little bit of research about the Calhoun County and Green Lake. I want you to find information and put up information about demographics, geography, and history. And you're going to put those onto the class Padlet, and we'll share it as part of a whole class resource. Okay, so I've done my own little research, but you're going to do your own map. So Calhoun County, Gulf of Mexico, and the place that is known as Green Lake. Task 4.2 is you're going to compare the real place in Texas with the imaginary Green Lake of the novel. So I want you to find out what similarities did you find about the setting in the book and the research you did on Calhoun County and Green Lake. And you can look at what other people found out as well. Are there any discrepancies or anything that did not make sense about Green Lake in wholes compared to Calhoun County and the real Green Lake? Then, what do you know about the geography of the real area? What would really happen if you dug deep holes daily near the real Green Lake? So they dug lots of holes and nothing happened. They just filled them in again. But what would happen if you dug holes like that in the real Green Lake? Then I want you to think about how the storyline was affected by the setting. So what would happen if wholes was set at a seaside location, somewhere near a coastal area? And then what do you think how the storyline would change if it was, say, in the Dandenong Ranges? And then the last thing is, based on the demographics and history of Green Lake and Calhoun County, how accurate is its portrayal of racism in the book? Now, you've looked at racism earlier on. You can go back and look at a little bit of research again on the population, the demographics, etc. of Calhoun County, and have a little think about the real Calhoun County and racism. Okay, boys, this is your last lesson on context. We will be doing a bit of consolidation of that work next lesson, so I'd like you to try and make sure you've finished all the work on context before our next lesson next week.